Tony Stark, a genius billionaire and weapons manufacturer, was on a military convoy in the deserts of Afghanistan, demonstrating his latest technology to the US Army. The sun beat down on the convoy as helicopters flew overhead, their engines roaring in the distance. Tony, ever the showman, proudly showcased his weapons, confident in their power to protect the world. "These are my weapons, and they're meant to protect the good people. It's a good thing you're all well trained. I don't want anyone getting hurt," he said, his usual cocky charm on full display. But everything changed in an instant. Without warning, the convoy was ambushed by a group of terrorists. Explosions rocked the ground, and chaos ensued. Tony's world was flipped upside down as he was knocked unconscious and taken hostage by the Ten Rings, a deadly terrorist organization. When he regained consciousness, he found himself in a dimly lit cave, bruised and bound. The leader of the group stood before him, a malicious grin on his face. "You will build us the missile that will change the course of this war, or we will kill you," the leader demanded. "Your life is no longer your own." Despite the grave situation, Tony's mind never stopped working. Instead of giving in to their demands, he secretly began constructing something entirely different. With the help of a fellow captive, Dr. Yinsen, Tony devised a plan to escape. Using scraps from the cave in his brilliant mind, he built a suit of armor, powered by a miniaturized arc reactor, a clean energy source that not only kept Tony alive, but also gave him the strength to fight back. As the suit came to life, glowing with energy, Tony looked at Yinsen, with determination in his eyes. "It's time to fly," he said. With the suit fully operational, Tony fought his way through the Ten Rings camp, using the powerful armor to escape the cave and make his way to freedom. The sound of explosions filled the air as he tore through the terrorists, determined to survive. Eventually, he made it back to the United States, landing in his lavish mansion. There, he was greeted by his assistant, Pepper Potts, who was both relieved and shocked to see him alive. "Tony, where have you been? We thought you were dead," she exclaimed, rushing to embrace him. "I was, but then I decided to make a little comeback," Tony replied with a grin, still reeling from the ordeal. Back home, Tony was haunted by the realization that his company, Stark Industries, had been responsible for supplying weapons to the very terrorists who had captured him. The guilt weighed heavily on him as he looked at the empire he had built on destruction. He stood before his board members and announced a bold decision: Stark Industries would no longer make weapons. The company he had spent his life building was going to change, and so would he. "From now on, Stark Industries will no longer make weapons. I've spent my life building them, and now I'm going to use my resources for something better," Tony declared, his voice firm and resolute. With that decision made, Tony set to work in his high-tech workshop, refining his Ironman suit. His new mission was clear: he would use his genius to create something that could protect the world, not destroy it. As he continued to upgrade the suit, he tested its capabilities, flying around his lab and unleashing its devastating weaponry. With each improvement, Tony grew more determined to leave his past behind and make amends for the damage he had caused. However, his journey was far from over. Tony's business partner, Obadiah Stane, who had been running the company in his absence, was not pleased with Tony's decision. Stane had secretly been working with the terrorists, and he had his own plans for Stark Industries. When Tony confronted him about the illegal weapons trade, Stane revealed his true intentions. He had been building his own suit, an even larger, more dangerous version of the Iron Man armor, powered by stolen Stark technology. Stane was not interested in redemption, he wanted control. "You think you can just take control? Stark Industries is my life's work," Stane sneered, his voice filled with contempt. With the stakes higher than ever, Tony knew that he had to stop Stane before it was too late. The two men, now in their armored suits, faced off in an intense battle. Iron Man's sleek, high-tech suit clashed with the brute force of Ironmonger, Stane's monstrous creation. The fight raged on, with explosions and sparks flying as the two titans collided. The ground trembled under the weight of their power, and the city was left in ruins. Despite the overwhelming strength of Ironmonger, Tony's intellect and resourcefulness gave him the upper hand. Using his ingenuity, Tony exploited a weakness in Stane's suit, eventually overpowering him. With one final blow, Tony sent Stane crashing to the ground, defeated. But as the dust settled, Tony realized that his battle was far from over. The world now knew the truth about him. In front of a press conference, Tony stood tall, facing the flashing cameras. The room was filled with reporters, all eager for a scoop. With a confident smile, Tony took a deep breath and revealed the truth that had been hiding in plain sight. "I am Iron Man," he declared, his voice steady and resolute. The room fell silent for a moment before the reporters erupted in a frenzy of questions and flashes. Tony had revealed himself to the world, and with that declaration, he became something more than just a man. He became a symbol of hope, redemption, and the power of human ingenuity. No longer a man who built weapons of destruction, Tony Stark had become a hero.